Okay, so that's it for consent. We're going to move on to conduct of business, which is number 6 on the agenda. And we'll go to item A, City Clerk.
Item 6A, receive the third quarter financial update report for fiscal year 2020-21 as of March 31st, 2021, and adopt a resolution approving the third quarter budget amendment for the fiscal year 2020-21 operating and capital budget.
And we're going to have our city manager as well as finance director Sun. And what I would ask is if there's about 23 slides, so if we could let them get through their presentation, and then we will start opening it up for questions. City manager.
Sure. Mayor Medina, we are totally ready to go forward with 6A. However, I would like to request, if possible, that we take item 6C. We do have the county's animal control and licensing manager with us, and she is ready to attend and support this item. With your concurrence.
Yes, I do see in the attendees the representative from the county, and obviously I think the budget process may take a little bit of time with its presentations and questions from the community as well as from council. So yes, I'm fine to move up the item C so we can have that presentation and allow the other person not to have to stay with us longer. City Clerk, can we move to item C, please?
Item 6C, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the County of San Mateo for continued provision of animal control services for a 5-year term beginning July 1st, 2021.
Manager.
Sure. Thank you, council, members of the public. Javon Brogan, city manager. I will be presenting the item tonight, and thank you again for moving this item up. We have Lori Morton-Fezzle, the Animal Control and Licensing Manager with San Mateo County, here to answer any questions on the contract. She is attending 4 city council meetings tonight, doing a virtual round robin, because this agreement is going to all 20 cities in the county. And so let's begin with the objective. The objective tonight is to provide information on the proposed agreement with the County of San Mateo for continued provision of animal control services for a 5-year term. As the council knows, I have been a part of this process since 2019 when there was an extension of the current contract and an audit. And I served on a panel of 5 city managers in the county for the RFP and for the contract negotiations. And so this agreement will be for 5 years, beginning again July 1, 2021 and ending June 30, 2025. The agenda for tonight's presentation is we will provide a background, we will discuss the agreement, we will discuss the financial impact, and then discuss recommendations. And finally take questions. So by way of background, shared services is something we talk about a lot. Animal control is actually the longest serving shared regional service in our county. It has been that way since 1952 when the county contracted with Peninsula Humane Society and the SPCA, commonly referred to as PHS, for animal control, field and sheltering services. Again, all 20 cities plus the county participate in this agreement. And frankly, we do that because we pool our resources and the economies of scale actually saves money. And so this agreement, as you'll see in a little bit, costs the city approximately $370,000 annually. And that's a cost that would be much greater if we did it alone or partnered with just a few other cities. In addition, the council and members of the public may know that through this countywide participation, we all jointly funded a $30 million animal shelter, and it's a 45,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility that our residents enjoy and can use due to this county partnership. So by way of background, animal control is not something that we talk about often here at our city council meetings, but we are mandated to provide animal control services. And a few of those functions are receiving and housing stray animals, serving as a location for the public when looking for lost pets and surrendering animals, sheltering animals, holding a spay and neuter clinic, as well as a vaccination clinic. There are other services that we provide for convenience, and we'll talk about a few of these. And one is licensing, another is microchipping, and veterinary care and behavioral work. And so that's for aggressive animals to get them to be not so aggressive. So the agreement currently will expire June 30th, 2021. Hence why the renewed agreement is important for this city as well as the other cities in the county to act upon. San Mateo County released a request for proposals for animal care, control, and sheltering services in January of 2021. And so all of these negotiations happened for the most part during COVID-19, and we held negotiations remotely with the vendor. And those negotiations began in March of 2021 with Peninsula Humane Society. The RFP was sent to 70 vendors, as was noted in the staff report. The county did receive 2 proposals, and PHS was a successful bidder. The proposed agreement, again, runs for 5 years. The total amount of the agreement is $32.5 million. I know this next chart may be a little small for those at home, but I'll go through it really quickly. In total, the annual cost for countywide is $6.2 million, and by the 5-year number will raise to just under $6.9 million. And you do that math for each year, and you get $32.5 million. It is broken up in detail here on personnel, fringe, which is all of the wraparound costs related to personnel benefits, as well as other personnel expenditures, operating expenses, equipment, subcontracts, and other costs. It's important to note the structure of the agreement. And so the county holds the contract with the vendor, and then all 20 cities have a contract with the county. All 19 cities have a contract with the county. And so that contract covers the costs, services, our responsibilities to pay for the debt on the facility, as well as performance expectations. The county is directly responsible for oversight of animal control, and that is Lori's job, which is why she's here today if you have any questions about the contract or operations. With the provision of the contract, I think I've said all of these, but it's important to note that the new contract has built-in incentives. There is an annual incentive of up to $100,000, and there are thresholds for the vendor to actually, if they meet their performance targets, to receive that financial incentive. But that financial incentive is put right back in to helping animals in our community. Also within the contract are increased response times and a number of benefits. So the staff report has a list of services that nearly covers a full page, and so it's on page 2 of 7 of the staff report, and I won't go through them all, but this little word cloud shows a number of them. So the contract covers rescuing animals, capturing large stray animals, investigations of animal bites and attacks, removal of dead animals from public property, removal of dead or wildlife from private property, enforcement of leash laws and local ordinances, pickup of animals that are injured or in confined spaces such as schools, response to calls for animals in traffic, dangerous animal permit violations, street patrol requests, as well as treatment services for injured animals, and it provides animal enrichment services while at the shelter. And there's a whole list in the staff report. It's also important to note that the agreement that you have before you has a number of services that were not in the prior contract. And so those are listed on page 4 of 7 in your staff report. And just to highlight a few, one, there's a requirement for an annual fiscal or performance audit in the contract. That is new. There's also 26 performance measures in the contract that the vendor must meet. That covers both response times, staffing, as well as service and care for the animals. There are also an additional 4 animal control officers, which is important for cities like San Bruno, because response times, frankly, have been an issue. And so the new contract has additional officers as well as response time performance measures that the vendor is required to meet. It's also worth noting that because Peninsula Humane Society operates a philanthropic wing, they provide services that the cities do not have to pay for. That's adoption. Microchipping is 100% covered for animals that are adopted by their philanthropic wing, as well as paying for spay and neuter. And so because of the partnership that PHS has with donors, all of the cities in the county actually receive benefits through their philanthropic efforts. And so the cost is divided up by all agencies in the county. San Bruno, as shown on the slide, pays 5.71% of that total cost. In next fiscal year, our estimated total is $376,000. The cost is included in the proposed budget that will be before you. It's also worth noting that for council members that have paid attention to the budget in detail, this cost was budgeted in the police department. We have now pulled that out and put that in non-departmental. While the police department does work closely with PHS, they are not responsible for the contract negotiations nor the cost. And so that is handled by the city administrator's office. And so we put it in the non-departmental budget, which is a typical budgeting practice. And so I am available for any questions that the city council may have on the contract or the negotiation process, and the county's animal control and licensing manager is also available. Thank you.
And if we could unshare the screen. Thank you so much, and a good evening, Lori. So any questions from colleagues? Councilmember Mason?
Yeah, thank you for that presentation. I just wanted to follow up on a question I had sent earlier to staff, hoping there would be some preparation, but around the lease. So please do correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like the lease is approximately $40,000 a year. And some of this is somehow contributed to the construction of the new building. And so the question that I have is, once that cost is at some point realized, understanding that this is years from now, is there also an agreement that the cities that contributed would no longer be contributing to a lease?
Yes. So let me take that. The $48,000 that you're referring to is a part of our annual payment. That it's mentioned as a lease. It's actually lease revenue financing, which is the debt on the nearly $30 million facility. And so that annual payment for the $28,300,000 facility is approximately $856,000 a year. San Bruno's portion of that is $48,000. And so that is a lease revenue debt payment for 30 years. And once that debt is satisfied, we will not pay towards that lease revenue payment.
Great. And then as far as the actual, as far as the proportionate share of costs, so I understand that it's separated by city, and I think that was really helpful, but I would love to see an actual metrics, and I know that this was requested in the past, but an actual metrics of how many calls. The agreement is quite long, but there is a section in the agreement that actually lays out what the expectations are for the contractor within every area possible. And so, but I didn't see a metric that breaks down each one of those by city. And so while I am going to support this item tonight, it has been requested before, and I would really like to see it. I think it's important that we really understand how many calls are actually coming from San Bruno for each one of these areas, how many are being responded to, so that we know what that proportionate share is going to. And then lastly, I just wanted to thank the city manager for ensuring that this contract was procured, and that we have a reasonable end date, so that there is a competitive bidding process. Thank you.
And then I saw that Lori's mic went on, and if you had something to add, that's great. As far as to that, as well as just for those listening, if you could tell on Rollins exactly where the facility is located, because some folks may be going, well, where is this? Because I know it's a beautiful location, and you can adopt and all kinds, volunteer, all kinds of stuff.
There's actually 2 shelters. First, I want to say thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. The county shelter is at 12 Airport Boulevard, right on the bay. It's right next to Coyote Point Golf Course. The Humane Society, the nonprofit, has one also in Burlingame on Rollins Road, and that's where the adoptions take place. And the shelter is completely finished and constructed. And again, when COVID's over, if anybody would like a tour, I'd be more than happy to take everybody through the shelter. It's a beautiful building.
Max might get a puppy.
Yeah.
So, was there anything else to add to Councilmember Mason's in regards to numbers, or I can turn that to City Manager? I know you were on the ad hoc committee for City Manager.
No, I can answer the question about the reports, and I do want to thank City Manager Javon. He was amazing on the negotiating team. He asked very good questions and participated and helped us negotiate a contract which is less than what we currently pay today. So thank you very much. Yes, we will be receiving monthly reports, quarterly reports, and annual reports. Those reports can be broken down by city, by calls that are responded to in your city. If you'd like to see the ones currently, I can send those over to the city manager so you can see what your current statistics are. And then going forward, I will be sending them over monthly. But we can report out on that. And if there's anything else you want to see when you see the reports, let me know, and we can try to get those for you.
Thank you. City Manager, anything to add, or that was took care of it? Took care of it. Okay. Other questions from colleagues? Councilmember Salazar.
Just a quick comment. I also wanted to add my thanks to the city manager for all of his work on this. I know he did put in a lot of time in getting all this together. You know, what the services that the Peninsula Humane Society provide are, a lot of people don't realize that, you know, all the things that they do, and it's one of those things you don't appreciate until you actually need to call for their assistance, and then you realize how important it is to have that. And so, you know, I visited both facilities. The building on Rawlings Road is definitely very impressive. Took my puppy there a while back to get some counseling when she was young, and so definitely appreciate their services and everything that they're doing, and I'm glad to see this contract coming forward.
And we can hear the dog now. Councilmember Hamilton.
Actually, Councilmember Salazar's comment was almost exactly what I was going to say, because it's all the same stuff. I'm very appreciative of our city manager and staff putting together this process. This was all brand new to me, how this all works, and the way that the costs are shared and the formula used to come up with a share for each city is logical and fair. And I also would echo the recommendation that folks visit these beautiful facilities. We got our cat, we adopted our cat from there, who's been a guest, unwanted guest in some of our meetings. And Penny, sleeping there in the background, took obedience lessons in that beautiful facility. So I highly recommend folks visit it. And I'm very supportive of this action tonight.
Anything else from my colleagues? I have something, but City Manager.
Yes, so at the risk of bringing up something new, just before walking up here, I got a note that a press release will be released soon tonight about a mountain lion incident that we had in San Bruno. And it's apropos to what we're discussing because PHS will help out with mountain lion sightings. And when an officer is there, it was a key part of our discussions. They will respond and they have to respond immediately. It is a priority one call. And so we did have a mountain lion incident last night where a mountain lion actually broke into a residence. Thankfully no one was harmed, but we do know that we have wildlife issues. And while those are under the jurisdiction of the California Department of Fish and Game, this contract and the support from Peninsula Humane Society and their animal control officers is a part of our immediate response force on these instances where if there is a dangerous situation and someone and an animal needs to be tranquilized, they have that ability and can advise. So know that this is an important contract and thank the council and thank Lori for all of her work.
And we know many of our neighboring communities are experiencing that as you watch on the news, not just here, but elsewhere as well. This was one of our initiatives, but obviously it was being worked on. This is one of my concerns because though we've had reports available to us, maybe we just haven't looked or asked, but at the same time with this new agreement, I like the other elements that have been added. Of course, the costs and the service level are always been things that we sometimes have heard or not being able to get it within a timely fashion or they're just too busy. So I appreciate the items that have been added in. I do also want to thank the city manager for his time as well as the other folks. I know it wasn't just you, but I know there were others, but you were there from starting it, finishing it. And so I think that we're finding ourselves in a better spot than we were. So I want to thank everyone for that. And final comments from Mr. Marty Medina, Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to thank everyone for their work on this. As for the mountain lion, is there a phone number that is operable at late at night? What's that phone number that people should call? Because I'm hearing from more residents and seeing it on Nextdoor or Facebook of more sightings, and maybe that's because there's so many cameras that we have out. But what number should someone call?
There's a number, 911. Call 911 if a animal, whether it's a mountain lion or other, is posing a risk. Our officers will come out and assess. They do have the ability to contact California Fish and Game, our Peninsula Humane Society, as well as the Puma Project that tracks and tags most of the mountain lions in our area. And so they have immediate access to them to assess if there's a tag and where that mountain lion may be if it is tagged. And so 911 is the number that people should call. Okay.
Councilmember Hamilton.
Quick follow up to that. If it's not a life threatening sighting, if I spot a mountain lion on my camera from the night before, should we call the business line for that?
So for a dangerous animal, you call 911.
Even after the fact?
You can call the non-emergency line to report it. There are also other numbers that offhand I don't have. Lori may have them, but we can certainly provide those. And I know staff is working on mountain lion communications to the general public that will provide a whole host of resources to the community, given the prevalence that we're having, as we all know, largely due to the fires and mountain lions being driven out of their habitat. And one of the things I was able to learn is we live in a woozy area, which is the urban wildlife interface. And mountain lion sightings are normal. It is a part of where we live. And so now that everyone has ring cameras, you are seeing mountain lions when you live really close on that urban wildlife interface that unfortunately is a part of nature. But there are instances where absolutely you call 911 and there are places to report mountain lion sightings, and we will make sure that those are provided.
Thank you.
Okay, information is coming out. Again, want to thank Lori for your time. I know you're making the county rounds, And obviously, thanks to Mr. Hamilton and Mr. Salazar, we even got a plug for the services that are provided for everybody's interest. So with that, thank you. And then we'll bring it back to council for action on item C, please.
I'd like to make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion Hamilton, second and Salazar, to introduce the resolution to authorize the city manager to execute the agreement with the County of San Mateo for the continued provision of animal controlled services for 5-year term beginning July 1, 2021. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hamilton,
Aye.
Councilmember Mason,
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Marty Medina,
Aye.
Mayor Rico Medina.
Again,
Motion
thank
carries.
you, Lori, and good luck, and enjoy the rest of your week. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.